Today I'm going to be exploring this wonderful film created by Ricey, who is currently having a generational crash out over the fact that Flats doesn't agree with him and the fact that Iron Fist is A tier or low B or whatever he said. Flats thinks it's D tier. No, he said Iron Fist is F tier, and I won't lie, that is kind of a bad take. I think Flats did change it to like C or D at the end, but even then, I still think it's a bad take. But Ricey has genuinely lost his mind over this, and it's amazing because you can watch him reply to every single comment. He went on stream, he sat there yelling about it throughout the course of an entire ranked match that he played. Then he started hurling insults at Flats for some reason. I didn't think it was that serious, but let's just go ahead and take a look at this. Just to put this out there, I don't think it's unreasonable for people to think Iron Fist is currently a low tier character. Throughout all of Season 0 up until this point, he's been known as a bad character. And he did just recently get buffs that were even seen as controversial, even though they were definitely better for him and actually made him a pretty tough character to deal with these days when somebody's good at him. In fact, he's actually really scary to deal with. So I understand why Flats might have put him there, but to be fair, his reasoning wasn't that bad, and the rest of the tier list that he created was also very valid, and then it spiraled into Ricey just giving horrible takes about the game, saying things like the Thing is not S tier, and that Iron Fist shouldn't be D tier because he can beat Black Widow in a 1v1, which makes no sense because matchup doesn't decide how good your character is, but I'll get into that momentarily. Now, I'll give him the validity of saying that Flats does call him a bad version of Wolverine, which isn't the best take. When it comes to being a tank buster, obviously Wolverine is better, but the thing is, Iron Fist is more versatile. He can go ahead and jump a support and still kill them really fast. He can jump a DPS and kill them really fast. And yes, he is actually a very good tank buster. Even with heals, he can manage to kill Groot in about 4 seconds if he goes uncontested. But then we get into the part where he starts giving his opinions, and even though he was a little bit valid to have this miniature crash out, because, you know, a bad take is a bad take. It ticks everybody off at the end of the day, right? But he hears that Flats thinks the Thing is above Strange right now, which is 1000% true. And after all the Iron Fist slander he heard, this must have been the final straw, because this is where he just really starts to go ahead and start tweaking out.
Let me hear him out.
Just a shittier Wolverine at best.
Holy fuck.
You know what?
Hawkeye and A is crazy work. Thing in S, yeah, automatically invalid tier list. This nigga has the Thing in S tier. Over Doctor Strange, he has the Thing. What are we even talking about? He's saying Black Widow is better than Iron Fist, and Iron Fist literally bullies the fuck out of Black Widow. Human Torch and B is crazy. Nah, let me see the final.
Now, the Thing right now is quite literally the best tank in the game, next to Groot, who is currently the actual best tank in the game. So the entire tank meta right now is ban Groot and then play the Thing in high elo. I don't know if you've seen this. It's probably even happening in Diamond at this point or something like that. But I went down to lower rank lobbies on a Smurf one time to help out one of my friends, a little bit of boosting, and they were even banning Groot there. And then what would they do? They would run the Thing. Now, the thing here is that Strange simply is not better than the Thing right now. Strange is very good, but he got nerfed. He's not as good as he used to be. He's not at his prime. Maybe you could make an argument that his ultimate is better than the Thing's, even though the only benefit it has is that you can do double the damage to a player, so it does have that over it. But essentially, their ultimates do the exact same thing to the players you hit. They just freeze them. They can't move. And I'm pretty sure it's for the same time, actually. And the thing that makes the Thing so much better is he's better at running in, making space, and he doesn't die. If Strange is gonna die, he's probably done. I can't count how many times I on the Thing, or I have tried to burst down a Thing, and then he pressed E, disappeared from my vision, and then had full HP by the time I saw him again, because he was just moving in and out of the space so fast. Not to mention, the Thing itself, if we're gonna go off of his logic and talk about direct matchups, is a winning matchup against Strange. In fact, he counters Strange, because the Thing's punch goes right through shields, so main takes like Magneto and Strange don't really stand a chance against defending him, which is why he's so needed to play right now. And if you pair him with Magneto and just keep bubbling him and making him invincible, he can do things that Strange literally does not have the option to. For example, repeated and heavier burst of damage. The only time Strange is going to get a heavier burst of damage is when he gets 100% charge and presses E, which, don't get me wrong, happens a lot, but the thing is relentless, just constantly spamming you, constantly punching through shields and doing AoE damage to your entire team. The thing sits there chunking off your HP in ways that Doctor Strange can't, in ways that Magneto can't, in ways that maybe Groot can, but Groot can't hit as many people with him. There's literally no tank in the game that can output the same amount of damage to as many people at the same time as the Thing can. Now, the reason why I don't think Doctor Strange is as good as Ricey here wants to crack him up to be, or as good as he used to be, not only was that nerf that came in actually a little bit more effective than I thought it was going to be, even though it was just a minus of 50 HP, they went ahead and toned down some of his damage. So it's a lot harder to run down the backline like he used to be on Strange, because the Strange is not a tank that's meant to brawl other tanks. He can, but you're just denying yourself a value. Any good Strange player usually targets backlines because he knows their E can go ahead and one-shot supports. So the thing about him now is that he's minus 50 HP and slightly weaker. It's a lot harder to get back there and do more damage. You're usually going to get bursted faster, and you die easier than you would on the Thing because you don't have a get out option like the Thing does. You can fly, you can float, you can hold up your shield, but this is going to lead to your team not having a tank on the floor with them, so they can either get pushed or your shield's going to get bursted and you're going to lose that shield, whereas the Thing jumps directly back to his team and continues to protect them, and then can just run back in right away if he really wants to. On top of that, Doctor Strange's ult has a charge-up time compared to where the Thing's is nearly impossible to react to unless you're a decent distance away. So if the Thing does his ult right in your face, you're going to get hit by it, where if Strange does his ult right into Luna Snow's face, she's probably just going to end up freezing him. Of course, that's up for debate after all, but that's kind of the main reason why this is being made right now, because this guy is delusional, and he ends up doubling down on this in a comment, but I'll get on that later. Now he does this thing where he goes, he has Black Widow over Iron Fist. Okay, yeah, that's insane, right? I agree, that's really stupid. But then your reasoning is just as stupid. You say Black Widow gets bullied by Iron Fist. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna... Newsflash, right? If you put Jeff in a 1v1 with about 60% of this game's roster, and let's just dumb that down to every support, Jeff wins versus every other support in this game. But does that make him the best support? No. He is, in fact, the weakest support by a grand margin. Everybody is better than Jeff right now. Now he's going to do something just as ridiculous, where he goes ahead and he looks at Flat's account to see where he's currently at, like his elo. He's about 200 Eternity, which is nothing to be ashamed of. Yeah, Flats may not be the best player in the game, but that's still a very high place that most people aren't even going to ever reach while playing this game.
Thing over Hela, Bucky, Star-Lord, Wolverine, Luna Snow, Loki, and Sue Storm is insanity. The fact that he has Iron Fist and Moon Knight in the same tier is fucking... You can tell he does not play this game. Like what are we talking about here, man? He's 214 into Eternity. I'm a higher rank than him, one-tricking Iron Fist, and he put him in the F tier. What are we talking about here?
I think his takes are somewhat valid. Yeah, of course he has some spots in the tier list that don't make sense, but that doesn't mean he doesn't play this game, as he liked to say, where... It makes no sense to think that Flats doesn't play this game when he consistently streams both this and Overwatch. And yeah, maybe he plays it less than you because he's playing Overwatch still, which is disgusting on his part. But this now comes to him going, how is Iron Fist F tier if I one-tricked him to top 500? I'm sorry to tell you that getting high-low on a character does not make them a good character. There are Jeff players, once again, I'm going to use the Jeff example because he sucks. There are Jeff players in high elo. No one thinks Jeff is good once you get past Platinum, right? So, I don't know what this point that he was cooking up was. Like, are we now going to say Black Widow is good because there's some Black Widow one-tricks in there? Like, these characters aren't good. There's just people who are good at them and good at the game and make them work because they like to play them. It's that simple. This happens in every game. You can go outside of the realm of Marvel Rivals and find this phenomenon still happening. Oh, and right before he decides to listen to his reasoning as to why the Thing is S tier, which is valid, by the way, he just decides to call him fat for some reason.
Thing in the S tier. I'm gonna be the first one to say it. He's fat, bro. I'm just gonna admit it, bro. He's fat. Just saying.
And the reason why I think the Thing is S tier is as long as Groot is banned, it's arguably number 2 or number 3 in that tank lineup.
I mean, if you're living this vicariously through Iron Fist that you think you're him and you're getting offended, either that or, I don't know, maybe you think Iron Fist is going to let you hit low bro, but he's not. You just got to relax. I think this was completely unnecessary. And no, this isn't some sort of cancellation attempt. He said this on stream, edited a video, and left it in. So I don't know what you want out of me. I'm just saying this is getting sad. Okay, so here's the same reasoning that any pro player, any pro tank player, even any pro DPS or support player just gave. And he just goes ahead and dislikes the video and then close it. Yeah, this is a little bit pathetic. He didn't even give him the full chance to explain, just closed it, said, I don't need to hear the rest of that. So, I don't know what you wanted out of him. I mean, I gave my reasoning for why the thing is definitely better than Strange right now, so if he wants to listen to that and take that into consideration. But now we're going to get to the next part, because after this, he just kind of cries and whines a little bit more. But now he goes around replying to every comment that has a different opinion to him, and he's like tweaking out, or if they're glazing Iron Fist, then he hearts it, and he just starts hyping these guys up. Yeah, I mean, I guess if people agree with you, you're going to agree with them, so it makes sense that he's hearting those comments and hyping those people up. But he's still replying to the ones who disagree with him, including mine, and this is where he doubles down on Strange. Now, let me just read my comment and then read what he says, because his reply made absolutely no sense. You are just as delusional when you gave your tanks about tank characters. First off, the Thing is way better than Doctor Strange right now. Putting the Thing in S tier is the most accurate spot you can give him. Second, you can't base your takes on tanks in the game right now off of who is the easiest to kill in Iron Fist, because that's definitely what you're doing. If we're going off the way you're ranking them, that would make Groot F tier, because he's the easiest tank for Iron Fist to kill. Third, you say Iron Fist is better than Black Widow because he bullies her. Yes, Iron Fist is better than Black Widow, but having a winning matchup doesn't make your character better or worse overall, and then I just gave the Jeff example, and that was the end of that. But he replied, there is no way that you think Black Widow, one of the worst DPS in the game, is better than Iron Fist. That's all I need to know about your statement. Right? So this makes no sense, because if he lacks the basic reading comprehension to read what I said, this dunce doesn't clearly realize that I said Iron Fist is better than Black Widow. I just said it doesn't make sense to say that he's better because he bullies her. Winning matchups don't determine your tier. And then he says, I never said anything about Groot, dog. He's S tier. Yeah, I know you never said anything about Groot. I was giving an example off of the way I think you're reasoning your takes on characters right now, on tank characters specifically. So again, you need to just go back and reread that before you reply, because that also made no sense. And then he said, Thing is B max, not S, dude. Strange is still better than him. He's my second main whenever Iron Fist gets banned. Okay, well, he's just not better than Strange. I don't know how to explain it to you. Strange used to be that guy. He's not that guy right now. Strange is probably like 4th or 5th on the tank roster. Realistically, it's probably going like Groot, and then you could battle between Thing and Magneto for 2nd and 3rd, and then Strange comes up after one of those two. So he's always going to get 4th. So then I see another very reasonable comment, because as I said, he replied to a lot of these. People need to realize, yes, you excel with the character greatly. He fits your playstyle. Yes, you make him work, but you're a ladder climber. I'm not degrading your skill because you are the best Iron Fist, but what does that mean in high-level play? What can you offer a team synergy? If you played tournaments, then yes, I could agree Flats is wrong, but Iron Fist is, and until he gets changed, a bad character. I'm a retired FGC professional, and I've seen the lowest tier of characters make it to high ladders all the time, and they get recognized on YouTube all the time, but they never break top levels of play. It's just how it works. Now, this is exactly what I was saying earlier. You can definitely climb high ladder on bad characters, but the reason why Flats is sitting here saying things about tournaments is because they never make it into those spots, right? And fighting games are probably one of the best examples of that. And even I've played fighting games for a while. I've seen the metas in those games. I've seen which characters make it to the top. I've seen which characters can't make it to the top. And I think the only time I've seen where low tier characters started a random uprising was Smash Brothers Melee. And that game is, I don't even know how many years old at this point, right? And those just started happening 24, 25 years later or whatever. So maybe in 25 years we'll see Iron Fist and whatever pro play scene is still left for this game. But that's going to be a long time, buddy. And then he says, well, I offer guaranteed backline pressure, unlike most of the characters who sit in the front line and poke. What do you think the Thing does? guaranteed backline pressure. He does that better than Strange. If you want to go ahead and talk about that, then the thing is definitely better than Strange. Also, there's characters right now who do better backline pressure than Iron Fist. I'm sorry to say it. But then he continues to go, I also create space by disabling their healers to heal the tanks. He's not a bad character, you're just playing him bad like I said. Alright, yeah, I don't think Iron Fist is a bad character, but again, I think this is just another bad response. Because he's saying Iron Fist is bad in a competitive sense, but in ranked he can be perfectly fine. But this happens all the time, and he just kind of completely missed the entire point. So, yeah, make of that what you will. Alright, and then they conversate a little bit more, and he says, well, yes, I don't play him, but you can pressure the backline supports, but there's other characters that do that better. It's best to realize and be real with yourself that he isn't that great of a character. I'm not saying he isn't playable, it's just that there's better characters that do his job better. And that makes plenty of sense. But he says, that's the thing. I only play this character for a reason. I think he's the best at his job since he has 2 self-heal abilities. He can pressure the backline, bully tanks, block all incoming damage for 2.5 seconds. I don't know which character you're talking about does it better, but I've never seen it happen in my matches. I just roll every dive character or kill their backline before they can kill mine. Now, you can think whatever you want to think in terms of who is the best dive character. That's obviously up for debate, but I'm going to be honest, I don't think Iron Fist is currently in that conversation, especially after they made him a tank buster. Now, we could go through and look at more and more of these, but honestly, just go look at the video and read the comments yourself if you want. There was a split mix between people telling him that calling Flats flat was very unnecessary, and then people kind of making fun of Flats, and then people glazing or defending Iron Fist. So, I mean, you created 2 different wars here for whatever reason with this video. But yeah, I mean, that's all I really have to go on about this.